All right, I'm Lee Vasic, and I've been using Alpha for I don't even know how many years now, over 10 years, I think. Um, and there's some really cool things that Alpha has now done with the S3 bucket, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. So this is the S3 bucket browser in Alpha Anywhere. And the prerequisites are Alpha software. Now I'm using build 9348, which is the last stable build, but this goes back a couple of builds before that even, so I think that'll work. And then you have to have a AWS S3 bucket account. You have to have your AWS credentials, which is your key and your secret key, and then you have to build a storage connection string. So you got to do all those things. Then there's some tools that are optional that if you don't have, it really makes life easy. Notepad++, Cloudberry for Amazon, and then a flat icon account. And so I'm going to show you a demo that we called eDocs or workflow, and this is how we did it about 10 years ago, I think. Let me show that to you, show you how that works, and then show you the new stuff. So in this one that we did a while back, I mean, there's a lot of code in this, as you can see. There's a lot of custom stuff going on here, but it works really well, and this technique can still work. So you can see over here, I have my work documents, and I have the different documents here, and if I click on them, for example, it will and download it, it will then show me the document. So that's coming from the Utah Department of Health. If we want to see employee insurance plans, this is always an interesting one because look at this, it's 320 pages. And look at how nice that downloaded, and look at all these pages that it got, right? So, but what's happening here is we've tied this to a database. So the database itself keeps the name of the file. And the reason I did this is because this is one that I probably would only use 10% of the time, but if you need one where you have to have keywords, if you have to have ticklers in there with start and end dates, and like I have one that has contracts, for example. I think there's over 300 contracts, and we need to know when those contracts expire and everything, but we keep them in an S3 bucket, but then our data table drives the dates and the expiration and that kind of stuff on those. So there's a good reason to use this. But let me show you, if we were using Cloudberry now, and if you haven't used Cloudberry, I think there's a free version. There's also some other stuff now that's kind of like Cloudberry that I think there's free versions of. But out here, I have this root directory, and you can see I have different things in the directory. And this one right now could be looking here. And so you can see there's a naming convention, but you would never know what this was, right? And so the other thing the way you want to set up your bucket also is, we're going to look at this one today, but if you come here, for example, and you say, I want to see this guy, you can come here to the web URL, and you could say, let me copy the link. And then, of course, if I go over here and try to open that link, it should have security on it, right? So that access denied. So even S3 now has changed the way they do a lot of things. It's a lot more robust, more UI for the user, so you can pick these kind of things a lot easier. But it's good to have it all locked down, really, for the most part, unless you have those special instances. So anyway, that's what's nice about Cloudberry. And also you can copy stuff through this if you wanted to, or remove stuff through this. But this is just a nice way to see it, so you can see it and make sure you're going to get hooked up to it. And you can see here, so for example, if we wanted to add something, I mean, we could come here and we could say what service type it was. We could put the document name, and then, like I say, we have the one for contracts where there's all these kind of dates and everything. So let's get out of that guy, and then we'll go back. So we're building a bucket browser, and it's a heck of a lot easier now. So the requirements are the ability to store various file types in a remote S3 or a Wasabi bucket. The concept exactly the same. File types will include PDF, images, Excel, Word, or other MS Office products, multi-tenant ability, and then filter by bucket and name. So those are the requirements. And then here's the controls we're going to use to do it. We're going to build a new UX control. We're going to have a list control on it. We're going to do panel layout, panel card and bucket list, panel navigator, then 3 panel cards, one called blank, PDF, and image, and then 2 JavaScripts. So that's about how simple this is to build. So let's go build it now so we can just look at it. So I think the first thing I want to do is just go ahead and build the list so we can look at it. And I'm going to say bucket browser. You'll notice here, in case you didn't know, I'll show you a little things I learned along the way. If you put it like this and then say make the label as mine, you notice if you use camel case, it'll make the break for you there. So that's kind of interesting how that works. And we're going to say we're going to fill the container with this, and now we're going to open it. And we want to come down here and pick this S3 bucket right here. Now we want to come here to our storage connection string. So my storage connection string is called AWS Connect Work Docs Library. That's what that stands for. Docs lib is the library. And then we want to pick the folder. So if we go back over here and look at our Cloudberry, you can see that we're in the folder ADT is the name of that folder. And you can see that this is by multi-tenant. So you could have a ADT0 or ADT10 or 11, which is what I have here for test. So anyway, let's just put the ADT here. And then we want to filter it in case, now there's nothing out there except what we want, but I'm going to filter it anyway because it seems to help with the way it sorts it. So I'll just grab this line here and put that in there. So that's how we would filter it. And then we'd come over here and we'd say object name and URL and say, okay, now let's run that and see what we get. Please tell me if I'm going too fast. Apparently I go really fast. So if you need me to slow down, I'll try to slow down a little. So this is what it looks like, right? And so you have your object name and then you have your URL. So, but we want to make this look kind of different, more reader friendly. So we're going to go over here now and we're going to come in here and we're going to put it in some panels. So let's come up here and we're going to add a panel layout and we'll put that up here. And then I want to add some panel cards. And so I'm going to come over here and say, let's add some panel cards. And we're going to say we want 4 panel cards. So now I'm going to take this guy and just move him up into this first panel card. And I'm just going to name this card PC list. Now I want to come here and I want to put all these panel cards in a panel navigator. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to pick the panel navigator. And now I'm going to name these cards. I'm going to call this one PC blank. I'm going to call this one PC PDF. And I want to call this one PC image. And now what I want to do is I want to come over here and I want to put in the PDF reader here. What is that? A viewer. What is that thing called? Yep. PDF viewer control. And here I want to put in an image control. And so we'll put that there. So now we want to go back to our bucket browser. And really on this one here, we want to say that it's going to be a layout size of about 350 pixels. And let's go in here and look now. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to get the name and I'd like to clean up the name a little bit. So, whoops, that's the wrong guy. Let me look at this guy again. So here's the name. Now I have a naming convention. I have an EE underscore, and then I have 401k underscore plans, for example. Well, I only want to show it, say 401k, and then I want a space, and I want to say it plans. And so I want to come here and then add a little JavaScript, virtual JavaScript column. I'm going to call it name. And then in here, in the JavaScript area here, I want to say, I want to return, and I want to say JS name calc is a little function that I wrote. And then I want to say object name. And now if I come over here to my list, I want to add that in as the name, put that at the top for now. And I'll just remove that guy for a minute. And then I'll say, we want the name to be, let's say 0.75. And let's go run it now and see what it looks like. So there it is. So you can see now it's resolved the name. And in fact, let's just remove we could just hide the URL piece for a minute. Let's just come down here. We're going to just say initial state is hidden. So then we could just say 1 here just to see it. But it's important to understand how all this is right there. It's pretty easy to just do a calculation on it to get what you want. So there it is. So see how it took that name, it removed the extension, and I'll show you that is right here what it does. So it removes the extension, and then it basically, takes the dash out and puts in a blank instead of the under bar, the underscore. So it's a nice little thing. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to see what kind of file it is. And so for that, we want to add a dynamic image. And we'll just call this image types, I guess we'll call it that. So then we come over here to the image definition. And the secret here is make it client side. It's a little bit easier. Now, rather than just typing all this in, I have it right here. So I'm just going to load it in, but you'll be able to see what it does. So I'm just going to say import. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to load it. And so let's see if that, so you can see now, see how the pictures are there. So if I click on a PDF, I get that icon. If I click on a Word doc, I get that. If I click on Excel, I get that. The PNG is that. And then this is the default, is just the picture. So you can see how that works. And if you open it, I mean, you can see what it's doing. It's just saying, give me the last 3 characters there. And if it's PDF, then let's show that image. And here it's saying, let me